Episode 32.
We back.
It is episode 32.
It is episode 32. I checked. Oh, it's the end of an era. Do you think so?
Yeah, it is. It is. It hasn't quite hit me yet. But for those of you who don't know, we just wrapped up the Axian Campaign. Our first campaign, our first baby.
Yeah, we killed it. We thought it was growing too old and crippled, so we maimed it and culled it. And now it's dead. Episode 69. I mean, session 69.
Session
last one.
Session 69. What a number to end it on as well.
I could have prolonged it and made it longer, but I was like, 69 is such a good number to end it on. I'm ending it here.
Yeah, I think you ended it in a good spot, because before we were talking about, you'd asked like where if we were going to end it, would you rather like end it at the Dawnhelm Oathbreaker thing, or end it at the end of the Huriak, the city that we were in before? And I think we all said, oh, let's just end it at Huria because there's a few loose ends there. But
yeah,
you didn't do that.
It was a very interesting decision to make, because for me there was around, I'd say 3 decisions that I could have made. I could have stopped it where we stopped it, like right after you guys picked up the Oathbreaker. I could have stopped it after the Lich encounter, because I think that was going to be pretty big. It was going to be the Lich, and there'll be maybe a fight, and then, or maybe a big discussion or whatnot. Or I would have ended it when you guys got back to Huria, and like you guys were surrounded by, you know, all the supporting characters, and there would have been, you know, something there. But I think it's better to end it now so we can, because I don't know about you, but ever since we started talking,
You're excited. You're getting excited, aren't you? You're really keen.
it's that. But ever since we started talking about campaign 2, I've been excited for that, and I've been less excited for campaign 1, right? So a lot of the energy I used to put into campaign 1 has just kind of gone out the window. And so I was like, I don't know if I can keep DMing this campaign without me like fucking it up somehow. It's better to end it now while I still have something written, instead of trying to make up some more stuff for a campaign that's about to end anyway.
Yeah, I completely understand that, because during the last session, I was thinking, okay, we're gonna get the Oathbreaker, and then like there was a couple of moments which we'll get into in the recap where I thought like this actually feels like a better place to leave it off, and I would rather it end here than in Huriara. And of course, I'm also very excited for campaign 2, and I think we've hyped it up now just from the last few podcasts that we've had.
Yep.
And everyone seems to be very excited and thinking about their characters and just genuine hype. It's just, yeah, it has drained, like people kind of want to move on.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about all this new shit. Why do we want to play with the old shit, you know?
Yeah.
And
so I think you made a good decision ending it here.
Yeah, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like I said before, like I don't know if everybody was still like invested into this one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone's already thinking about campaign 2, that it's easier to end it while there's still some remnants of like what happened last time that they can still cling on to before, you know, it ends fully. Should we get into the recap?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
Sure.
This time we entered the castle of Dawnhelm, the bastion of Dawn, the citadel of Dawn, created by the Mad King Thrarden of the dwarves. And you guys start outside of this great gate with a lot of skeletal hands poking out of the remnants of some poor fellas who tried to escape from something and ended up getting stabbed in the back and dying right before they could leave. This was a very interesting. It's just an obstacle, right? It's like there's a big metal door in front of you guys. What do you do? And I didn't expect Lewis to just straight up use Storm to what's it
Stone
called?
shape.
Stone shape, and
Yeah.
just make a hole in the side. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't even know he had that spell, to be honest. I guess that's right. He got it from the lyre, the magical legendary instrument.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like again, like a lot of the obstacles I implement is just stuff I don't actually think of a solution of, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
here it is. You guys figure out what to do. Obviously, there's an intended solution in my head that'll always work. But if you guys come up with something that's 80 times cooler, then obviously we're gonna go with that, right?
Yeah.
So that was cool. And you guys venture down into the castle. You light up the torches, and there's a brief discussion about whether you guys should start sneaking through. So you send yourself, Snow, and Storm
Mm-hmm.
down to check the corridors. Is it just me, or was the dynamic between you guys, the characters, much more fluid this time? Do you think so?
It did feel a bit different this time. And I don't know if it's because like the investment of this in this campaign has gone down. So therefore people felt a bit more free to just say whatever they want. But it was different. I'm not really sure. I can't really put my finger on what it was that was different about it. I didn't notice it at the time, but now that you bring it up, I definitely can see that.
Yeah, it felt like everybody was much more comfortable talking to each other in characters, like to each other as characters.
Yeah.
To be honest, if it was like this from like the get-go, I don't know if we would ever even bother discussing campaign 2.
Well, that was the whole issue that we brought up in the first place, because there was an issue with Axia. If there wasn't an issue, then we wouldn't bring up campaign 2. As simple as that.
Yeah, but although the issue obviously isn't fixed, I think if we were to continue playing Axia and heading in that direction, I think everything would have turned out pretty good, or at least much better than what we were experiencing previously. So it's a bit of a bittersweet moment for me, to be honest. It's like we finally we touched the edge of greatness, right? We were this close to greatness in forming a somewhat good dynamic party where everybody was sort of vibing with each other. Like Kenji and Storm had this strange betting dynamic going on. It was some great stuff, and it's just the end now. We're never gonna see these characters again, other than Ryan's little helpers.
Well, if campaign 2 just utterly blows up and doesn't work, you did say after the session ended that it's open-ended enough that campaign 1 could still continue as like a last resort.
Yeah, with the exception of some characters leaving, which we'll get into, I guess. And
yeah, well, not quite yet, because it's going to lead into Ryan's little helpers, which I think we'll talk about a little bit.
we should.
Yeah.
Anyway, both Storm and Snow, they're venturing down this castle corridor. There's some stone doors on the side made for dwarves, so they're quite small to peep through, but you roll a disgusting number. What was
29.
it? 29?
Yeah.
And Storm rolls a 26. So you guys are cruising through this castle, and you look inside the door, and it's a barracks, and there are a bunch of dead skeletal boys, dead asleep in their little cots in their beds, and there's bloodstains on the sheets, obvious signs that these guys were murdered in their sleep. And on the other side are storage rooms with weapons and rations and whatnot for the war effort. And you guys are like, oh, some shit went down here. And as you're going down, you hear the shouts, the barking commands of a dwarven leader or a dwarven commander, right? And
Yeah.
Magner off the side is translating for you, and he's telling you that, oh, it's some kind of dwarven command for a bunch of old dwarven names. And there's some interesting bits where someone asks, like, are these old dwarven names? Like, are these ancient dwarven names? Are they still being used? And Magner was like, yeah, kinda. which honestly I didn't expect that question at all, so it was just sort of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That was actually a really good question. Yeah, and it pointed to that either these are fucking spooky cannibal dwarves who have lived here as a society for the last thousands of years or whatever, or it's a ghost or ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out, as you guys come to the final door of the command room, you open it. You don't actually open it up, do you? Storm peeps under the crack in the doorway, and he notes the command table. He notes the dozens of bodies on the ground. He notes the ghostly apparition's legs that's been shouting orders this whole time, and that's reverberating around the whole castle.
Yeah.
And so you guys decide to signal the rest of the party to come closer and discuss what exactly the fuck is going on in here.
Yeah. Storm has a theory that it could be the ancient dwarves turned into a cannibal tribe or some wacky theory.
What a theory it was.
They were just subsisting on themselves for thousands of years. And he seemed really set on that idea, so much so that he was willing to bet a gold coin, which Kenji took him up on. But when then we got up to that door, we were talking about it. When we go inside, what do we see?
We see the ghost of the Under King Thrarden of the Sten. And naturally, Kenji's like, "Yo, pay up. I'll
Give me
a
the coin."
Gold coin." And so you guys approach. The Under King Thrarden is like, "Hey, you, Hjalmark or something, whatever his name was." And he points to Magnir, and Magnir is confused by some sort of charm spell or suggestion spell or mind control spell. And his personality is taken over by an ancient dwarf, which turns out to be his great grandfather, I believe. And he and the rest of the dwarves are file out to go patrol the ramparts, the walls of the citadel, leaving the rest of the party and Thrarden alone in the room. And he signals to you guys to approach, and Storm, in his best attempt, I would say, to convince Thrarden that you guys, that at least he is the right-hand man of who you learn Kristoff is commanding the upper worlders down here, right? Thrarden assigns you guys to his command, and Storm convinces Thrarden that, hey, I'm the upper, I'm his right-hand man, you know? We go way back.
Yep.
And Thrarden, seemingly unconvinced, but he rolls a, what is it, a 32, I believe?
Yeah, it was.
That's a fucking large number. I'll tell you that much. Jesus Christ. And so he is thoroughly convinced, and he points you in the direction of the West Wing, and you guys attempt to convince King Thrarden that he is actually dead, and he's not really having none of it. Kenji tries to swipe through his ethereal misty form to no avail, and he just kind of backs off. Storm picks up the helmet of the dead guy in front of him and shows it to him, but King Thrarden sees nothing. And so you guys decide to, well, let's go check out what Kristoff, the hero commander of the upper world, is doing down here, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys move on to the West Wing, where you open a door, and what greets you is very similar ghostly, I'd say holograms or flashbacks, or remnants or nostalgia of the past. You see these remnants of a group of adventurers, much like yourselves, right? You have a dashing, youngish, Kristoff, blonde hair coming down to his shoulders. He's got a bit of a chiseled face. He's got the blue eyes. He's a handsome man. And next to him is the wizard Sivgus in a classic mage robes. He looks a lot younger than what you guys saw him as. The same Sivgus that Kenji recognizes as the fucking destroyer of his homeland, the Scourge, the guy that killed a ton of people. And opposite to them are two people. Itheric, a female elf, I believe she was a ranger of some sort, and Yarden, a half-orc, I believe he was a prince or something, and he was also a warrior or a
Yeah.
barbarian or something of the sort.
Okay.
And they're arguing, right? You guys walk in on an argument, and these guys don't notice you. These guys aren't like King Thradrin, who is a living, or I guess unliving being who you can interact with. These guys are uninteractable.
Yeah,
this
these
is
are,
a cutscene you can't interact with, you know?
it was like a pre-recorded message.
Yeah, there's some obvious magical fuckery going on around here. So you guys listen in on what they're arguing about. And they are arguing about whether they should use the blade to sever themselves from their ties to the gods. And in a, what's the right word? A juxtaposition, a mirrored fashion of your exact same scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think as Snow or as yourself during that moment?
Yeah, I don't know what Snow would have thought, but just as a player, I thought that was cool that we learned that, you know, these legendary figures that we've heard of in the present time were a part of the same quest that we are right now, which really, I feel like if we were to keep playing, that would have been a cool avenue to explore. You know, who is Kristoff really, and then who is Sivgus, and what have they done, and that sort of thing. It makes me want to try and explore those characters. Not that we will now at this point.
Rest in peace.
Too late. They're gone. But that was cool. But as Snow, yeah, Snow's always been set on his decision to sever his ties. I think that'd be a better question to ask the other party members. But the discussion too, we never really had an argument about whether or not we should sever our ties with the Oathbreaker. We all decided, oh, Hesteldane's bad, we don't want to be connected to him, let's sever all our ties. And that was the unanimous agreement that we had for a long time, and it never really came up into question since Weirdwood.
Wood. No, wait, Weirdwater, you're right.
Weirdwater. So yeah, not much to think about there.
Okay.
But I think this is a discussion which we'll go into a little bit more when we get to that moment.
Yeah. I was when I wrote these characters, Yard and Ithric, a long time ago, back at the Corrigine, they obviously, there's like a history here, like set in stone, right?
Yeah.
And since we're never actually gonna get into the lore or the reveal, so it's a very silly joke, but you know shipping names, how you can join two names together to come up with like a cute haha shipping name. You know what I'm talking about?
You mean a name for a ship?
Yeah, like a relationship. You know how people ship people?
Oh, yeah. I get
Like
you.
John and Jane, oh, that's a shit one. John and Samantha, it's like Jamantha, you know?
Or like just take some from our party. You have Snow and Snokel.
Yeah, like Snokel. Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
So in my headcanon lore, which I wrote, I guess it's not headcanon if I wrote it down, but in the lore that I wrote, the ancient party of Kristoff, Ithric, Yard, and Sivgus, they split up and go their own ways, right?
Yep.
Eventually, I guess I am allowed to go through the lore, right? I didn't really get to, because I guess I forgot most of the exposition at the time, or I just it just wasn't good for the pacing of the session.
Yeah.
But what I didn't get to talk about was that a very, very long time ago, similar things happened to the ancient kingdom of Aegis, right? Aegis.
Yep.
And back then, there was a man by the name of Hesseldane, who was the Herald of Doom, who conducted very similar actions last time around. And there was this gigantic black sphere that encompassed a large majority of the old city of Aegis, right?
Yeah.
Which eventually ended up being completely consumed and becoming the Maw, right?
Yeah.
So that was the whole downfall of the ancient civilization. And after, well, the old party, they came back together half of them severed the ties, the other half didn't, but they stood together, and they ended up vanquishing Hesseldane back to wherever he came from.
Yeah.
and they split. Sivgus went back to his homeland, back to Revenost.
Yep.
Kristoff went to go establish the Eubanian Empire after seeing the horrors of war and whatnot. And Ithric and Yardan, their shipping name, Denethor.
Oh.
They established the kingdom of Denethor, the opposition to all of Kristoff's ambitions, and they have this eternal war with each other that spans pretty much eternity at this point. Where what's the opposite of ancestors?
Descendants.
The descendants would continuously wage war against Kristoff and his crimes against humanity. Well, I guess humanity is not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Against mortal kind.
All race kind, yeah, mortal kind. That's a good one. But we never got to go into that. But that was a neat tidbit.
Yeah, we never learned why Kristoff became this evil dude, or so-called evil
How he
dude.
descended down into the madness and declaring himself the God Emperor and whatnot. But yeah, that was nice. And
Yeah,
so you guys,
I figured Sivgus would be the big bad. Like when we first met Sivgus, he seemed like the big fish compared to Hesteldane. To be honest,
true. He
But
did seem
really-
like a bigger figure.
But really, Hesteldane was the bad guy all along. Because I always thought that Hesteldane was like second in command to someone bigger.
Oh yeah, he was. He definitely was. He was the herald, right? And he was calling upon something bigger to descend down onto the realm.
Okay.
So he was summoning something spicy.
Mm.
But obviously we're never gonna get there. Anyway, you guys are like, oh, okay, cool, nice info. It turns out the World Forge is downstairs past the throne room, which is the key information we took out of that.
Yep.
And so you guys go back to the command center, the / throne room, and you pretty much just half of
We
you
split
decide
off.
to sneak off
Yeah.
into the throne room, or the royal bedroom, where the wall in which the vault is, a bunch of runic symbols inscribed into a door, a metal-looking door. And finally, she gets a chance to shine, Eliwick. Her
She does
her
something.
burden has been lifted. She gets to do something for the party. And she takes her time in opening the door. We go back to the others who decide to convince Magni, or to snap Magni out of his control, out of his confusion. They
Yeah.
go back to the walls, and they do manage to snap him out of his confusion. They try a few things. They try slapping him. They try.
I love how Kenji tries to slap and punch this guy, and then immediately afterwards just tries to talk to him normally. And Magni's like, "You think you can just slap and punch me?"
It's such a
Just
strange
talk-
conversation.
Yeah.
Because in my head, like, you'd have to do damage to them to actually mechanically stop them from, at least like snap them out of it for a little bit. But Kenji specifically specified that he didn't want to do damage, so I was like, oh, I don't know if this would snap him out of it, but it was a weird call to make. But eventually, I believe Ravenna uses protection from evil or something along those lines.
Good and evil, I think it is.
Protection of good and evil.
Yeah.
And that gives advantages on saves against being charmed and other suggestion type effects. Storm decides to use suggestion or charm person on the other dwarven buddies of Magnir, and they all kind of snap out of it.
Mhm.
Magnir drops some lore on the Mad King Thrardran, who I guess quotation marks, betrayed his people by not letting them leave the citadel and forcing them to fight to the bitter end, or just die in the siege, and they just starve to death or whatnot. And that comes into play later when you guys venture back to the bedroom and the door is open. Eliwick has done her one job for the whole arc,
Yep.
and there's a bit of a touching moment where you say something, right? What do you say, like right after they open the door? Or like Storm says something?
I think Snow says something, but
Yeah.
what I had in my head was a lot cooler than what I actually said, because the words just got caught in my mouth when I was trying to say some like epic speech that we're like, this is the end of the line, this is the final stretch, like everything we've worked for has come up to this point, something along those lines, but it just came out as like gobbledygook when I was actually saying it.
Well, now's your chance to redeem yourself. Well, what would have Snow said if he had the opportunity to not fumble over his words?
Hey guys, everyone,
Oh no.
we
This
made
is your
it.
leader.
We made it. Like, fuck. Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Not like a we've come a long way. Huh. Oh?
Maybe I should have done what AK did and just wrote it out beforehand, so
Yeah, I think that was a
say
really,
it.
really smart thing for him to do, honestly. Because as you guys are traversing down this very long set of stairs that spirals all the way down to the World Forge, Magna poses a question to the whole party. And this is central to his character development and to where he will eventually, or would have eventually ended up going. He asks whether it is morally correct to betray your king and betray the traditions of your people if it serves a greater cause to either save more people or to save yourself, or if you believe your king to be mad, should you still follow his orders? And there's a few different responses to this. Do you think?
Yeah, I think everyone had their input on this. I can't remember everyone's input, but I think for Maple, he said that, he touched on the Snow Elf Civil War that happened back home, and he said that my family ran away to escape the bloodshed. So I think he was advocating for prioritizing life over tradition and honor. And
Yeah.
Tokul seemed quite torn on this, actually, because it was something that hit quite close to home.
It's a good question for Tokul, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of was jumping back and forth between the two answers. He was like, if I could save everyone, then I would like hold off the enemy so that everyone would escape. But then if his father was fighting, then he would help his father fight off the enemy to protect everyone. So he was very conflicted in his answer about what he should do. It seems like, especially now, it seems quite poignant that his patron is the god of honor. So he seems to be trying to figure something out within himself through that answer.
Do you think he did by the end of it?
I think it got him thinking, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's the campaign's over. So,
Oh, so it doesn't matter. Nothing in this session matters anymore.
Well, there's
Nothing we do
there's
matters.
still Ryan's Little Helpers, but I don't think it will be in the same vein. I definitely think that once Ryan's Little Helpers ends, there will be a definite serious moment where this is the final time that we'll see these characters. If we don't ever come back, then yeah, this might be the final time we see these characters as
The last
they are.
hurrah, huh?
Yeah, so this is like the Ryan's Little Helpers is kind of the epilogue, the story after the story, for a little bit. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that. We will get to that. So I can't remember what Storm says. I can't remember what Kenji says.
Kenji had a really good quote. I think I can recall it. I believe.
Oh
he
yes,
said,
I remember.
He said, "Do you remember what he said?"
Yeah, he said a warrior's path is. Oh fuck! I fucked it up.
Good one.
He said a warrior's path is paved in blood or something like that.
Yep.
But it is straightened by honor.
It's a pretty good quote. I don't really get what it means. I get the general gist of it, but like it doesn't make sense, but it sounds really cool.
I think if I was to try and break it down, it's another way of saying the ends justify the means, right? You've done all this killing and this bloodshed, but it's justified because it was the honorable thing. It's the honorable thing to do. It was the right thing to do.
Which Magni does take into account, and he thinks very, very deeply about what his situation, because Magni, being the second son of the forged father of the stands of fuck, what's it called? Zigramar.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah.
What?
Hey.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Why'd you say nice one?
Yeah, I said
you trying to start something? You trying to start something?
No. Nice remembering.
Hey, you remember half the shit people say in the sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even remember your own names. It's Hjalmar.
It doesn't matter.
Hjalmari.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter because the campaign doesn't matter anymore, huh? Okay,
yeah.
Nothing
Why
matters.
we argue?
Why do I need to remember anything anymore, huh? All of this
why do I gotta remember anything?
All of this lore is irrelevant now. All that world building, all the maps drawn, I can throw it in a bin, set it on fire, and it won't matter anymore.
Yeah, do it then.
You want me to do it?
You
do it? I'll fucking film myself setting something on fire.
Yeah. Print it out and burn it.
That's such a waste. That's such a waste.
And then delete the file forever.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still got a Google Drive. What are you gonna do about that? Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, I'll delete them.
Huh?
I'll delete them off the Google
Drive. You can't. I own that. I own that drive. Oh, you?
Then delete them.
No, I won't. I won't.
Yeah, big talk, but no walk. Anyway,
Magni, second son of the Forged Father, from the Zigramar clan. Fucking piece of shit from the Stan clan and from Zigramar.
Yeah.
He thinks very deeply, because his father and his elder brother continuously send him on suicide missions because they want to get rid of, well, the brother obviously wants to get rid of any potential heir fuckery.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Magni's what's the word? Beliefs don't quite line up with the traditional dwarven aspects of solidarity and minding your own business and staying together type deal, right?
Yeah.
He's a very open man, while the rest of the dwarves are not really of the same vein. No pun intended. And so he decides, if they're just gonna keep sending me on suicide missions, should I just fucking take the crown that you guys are about to give me, go back and kill both my father and my brother and take over as the king, or should I just take the crown and leave, journey on my own, find my own peace with my boys here? And I believe, well, we don't really know. We don't actually get to the point where he says, "Oh, I'm gonna do this now." But I think he was definitely leaning towards the side of just leaving his people behind and forging his own fate, his own destiny. And speaking of forging, you guys get down to the World Forge, where you see 3 shards of the Oathbreaker sitting on a platform alongside a bunch of smithing tools, a bunch of forge tools, which are surrounded by a moat of lava, and there's some grooves in the floor where the lava's flowing through, and it's powering the furnace, and it's this fucking sick machine. And you guys decide, well, what are we gonna do? And Magnus like, yo, I'm right here. I am the second son of the Forge Father. I know how to forge shit. Let me handle this. All I need is a bit of wind, a bit of mending, and a bit of strength, and I can do it.
I remember the exact thing, how the conversation went. He's like, don't you know I'm the son of a Forge Father? You don't think a son of a Forge Father knows how to forge? And we're like, no, we didn't know that.
It's in the title.
But I am Forge Father's son. This is like how a doctor's son is still a doctor, you know? Just
it's
not
the first
officially.
thing they teach you know? He's not a warrior, he's a goddamn smithy. Anyway. He's like, well, leave it to me. and both Ravenna and Tokul will assist in the creation or the recreation or the repair of the Oathbreaker while everyone takes a step back. And Matt goes to take a shit.
Oh god, the timing on the shit, the timing.
And we're just kind of sitting there, right? We're just like, well, this is what the last 35 sessions of 40 sessions have come up to, the climax, and Matt's taking a shit.
Well, look, it definitely wasn't intentional. When you gotta go. But it's just the timing.
It's just unfortunate timing.
So bad. It was so bad.
Not the greatest timing, you know.
The culmination, the final session.
This is it.
This is, you know, Matt Tokul was like, I'm gonna help with the forging of the Oathbreaker. You know, I'm gonna hold it down. We're gonna smack the hammer. We're gonna hit the hammer on the anvil. Everything's coming together. Just hold on. I gotta unload my fucking bowels. And we just spent the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes just talking shit about Matt taking his shit while he could hear us.
Very immersion breaking. Very, very immersion breaking, you know? We got to the point.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're just gonna push that shit back in? Hey, sit down. You're gonna play this out.
Turn on your phone camera while you're in the shitter. I don't care. Let's play, you know? I don't know. Well, that's unfortunate, but you know, he comes back and we decide to reforge the blade that was broken, the broken Oathbreaker.
Yep.
And the whole process is rather mystical. There's flashes of light. Everyone's getting epilepsy. Everyone's having a seizure at the fucking light show that's going on. And as the blade completes its restoration, as Magnir attaches the handle to the edge, the obsidian jet black edge of this short sword, the whole room is painted in this white color, and Magnir and Eliwick are deleted from the room. They disappear into magical nothingness, and this figure, this black, shiny is the wrong word, this black kind of grainy silhouette floats above the Oathbreaker rather ominously, and it speaks to you. And it is the Oathbreaker. It is the living weapon, the Oathbreaker, you know. And it takes different forms depending on who's talking to it and who it's looking at. First, it mirrors the silhouette of each and every one of you guys. Then it takes the form, like Ravenna talks to him, and it takes the form of Ravrim. Snow talks to him, and it takes the form of maybe Anna. Maybe it takes the form of Faye. Maybe it takes the form of Uchi or someone like that. Yeah. Storm talks to him, and it takes the form of his brother, Thunder. Tokul talks to him, it takes the form of his father, of his sister. Kenji talks to him, it takes the form of his master. Maple talks to him, it takes the form of his sister type deal, you know? Yeah. And throughout the whole process, it's taken forms of all these semi-recurring characters from the start of your journey, right?
Yeah.
I had a whole list here actually. Let me pull that up because I think the list is rather significant, right? Like these were people. We had Torgut. Right? We remember Torgut. He was the very first NPC you guys ever interacted with. Ever.
Yes, it was.
Ever. Vincent.
Well, there was the bandit that I tripped over. That was the first NPC.
Okay, yes, that's true. Oh, wait, wasn't Torgut in like the same cell?
Yeah, but we didn't interact with him because he was like unconscious or something, right?
Oh, maybe it was him and the village girl. Yeah. Oh, Torgut was the first major NPC you ever interacted with, right?
Yeah.
You had Vincent, do you remember Vincent?
Yeah, I remember
the slave guy
the slaver. Yeah, we did a 3-hour recap before, so it's a little bit fresh.
Yep, you had Tyr. Remember Tyr?
Yeah, Tyr. I remember Tyr.
Tyr
never heard from him. Never heard from them again.
Yep, because Penny's still in a coma because you guys never cured her. Sucks for her. There's Fredgar. You remember Fredgar? Sad Fredgar.
Which Fredgar? There's two. The wolf one?
The wolf one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolf Fredgar. Okay. You had Barash. Remember Barash?
Yep, the blue dragonborn.
He was red dragonborn.
Oh, fucking
red dragonborn. Remember Bennett?
Yes.
Bennett, rest in peace.
Who can forget Bennett?
Nobody can forget Bennett. You had Cedric, Dedison, classic. You had Lucius.
Dedison? Yeah. Was that his last name?
That was his last name.
Oh. That he had a last name?
Yeah, Cedric Dedison, son of Dedo.
Okay. Never heard of that. Never heard his last name
Really?
ever.
I feel like I've mentioned it a few times. Oh well, that's his last name, right? Yeah,
Yep.
Lucius.
Yep. Never heard from him again.
Yeah, he's in the kingdom that's currently dying. Remember that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore.
Keep going.
Doesn't matter anymore. You had Anna? Yeah, I bet you remember Anna, huh?
Yeah, but she's dead.
Yeah, she's dead. She's actually dead.
She's dead.
You had Uchi? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Never heard from him again. Just ghosted me.
He
left me on red.
You ghosted him.
He
Actually,
left me
no.
on red.
Oh yeah, he did leave you on red.
Yeah.
That's right. And we would have explored that, but we're not anymore because the campaign's dead. You had Cass. Do you remember who Cassie is?
Cassia? Oh, that was it the Baroness from Bromwich?
No, that's Baroness something else.
Oh, okay. Cassia.
Cassia was the dryad girl you all hated.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. Cassia. Yeah,
Yeah.
Don't remember her name.
Yeah, she's forgettable. It's okay. I didn't really remember her either. I had to look her up. Remember Kragan? Kragan Thunderfist? Thunderweaver, whatever it's called?
Yeah, we tried to make him a hand that never got finished.
Yep,
because,
that never happened. Rest in peace.
Because what's his face? What's his name?
Dumb
The
gnome guy.
The insane gnome guy. He fucked us over. I'm gonna say he fucked us.
I'm sure he fucked you over. I think he.
Yeah.
He's
We
just
asked
crazy.
him. We asked him to do it, and we did the shit for him, and he didn't do it.
You never brought his daughter back.
Yeah, we did.
No,
We
you
brought
didn't.
him back. We brought him back, just not to him.
Yeah, so he didn't do what he said, and then he's like, "Well, I guess I'm not doing what you said. Fuck you." That's what he said.
Anyway, it's not like Kragan ever wrote back to us anyway. He's all good.
What the fuck? He did write back to you. He wrote back to you multiple times.
What do you mean multiple times? He wrote back just like that one time we went to venture.
Yeah,
That
and
was
then
it, right?
You sent something back, and they sent something back, right? He's like, "Hey, take care, blah blah blah. If you guys ever want to give up on your quest, come down to Ursine's reserve or Ursine's what's it called? Guardianship or something.
That's where he took all the snows to the Kirithel's Rest or something.
That's the one, Kirithel's Refuge, where Ursine is the werebear who's in control.
Yeah.
Send to Passage. Fucking Passage.
Passage. Get out of here, Passage.
Rest in peace. Turned into Ty. She was great. I like Ty.
Mm-hmm.
Turned to Ravrim and turned into Nostra. And those were pretty much the major NPCs I could think of. I'm sure I missed quite a few, but those were the big ones, right? They didn't turn into Soule or Demi, which was a big point.
Yeah, well, it turns out that they were gods in disguise.
Oh, they were yeah. Like since session 1 when I wrote them, they were always gods in disguise, and it was very open ended, right? Because I could have been like, oh yeah, from the start, they saw you, and they wanted you guys, but I was like, it could go either way, right?
Yeah.
But that was fun. Yeah, and then it turns into a bunch of these NPCs, all these old characters, and it finally. And this was a good point for you guys to ask, like, yo, what the fuck is going on with the plot? Like, what's happening? Like, what do we do?
Yeah, I felt like if you wanted us to ask, you have to make it pretty.
Yeah, I should have made that clearer.
Yeah, you should have said, okay, well, look, this is a good opportunity for you guys to ask any questions that you've had on your mind about anything.
It's weird, right, for me sometimes, because I noticed that a lot of you guys don't do anything unless I prompt it. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, it's just that sometimes there's a vibe or there's a mood, or it just doesn't where that kind of thought doesn't come up. But you know,
I mean in general though, right? Like at the very start of the session, right? I actually wrote in my notes just because I wanted to experiment, right? I literally wrote, "Let's try something. Dash. Don't prompt action." That's literally what I wrote in my notes. And so at the start of the session, I described the scenario, right?
Yeah.
And then I finished describing it, and I just stopped talking. And then there was just straight up silence, and I was like, "Huh, interesting." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, what do you guys want to do?" I don't know. I guess that's just the vibe.
It seems like if you spent the whole campaign prompting us, like, you know,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just what you're used to. Then.
I've finished describing or whatever. Now you guys can do something.
Yeah.
Because maybe everyone thought that you were gonna keep
I mean,
going.
when I've shut up for like 30 seconds, you can assume that I'm done. You know, I guess it's a lot easier to transfer the thoughts in person, where I can just kind of look over to you guys expectantly. But online, where it's cameras, it's still like it's hard for me to give you the eye, where it's like, hey, I'm done, kind of deal. But that's just miscellaneous thoughts, and it doesn't really mean anything, to be honest. Anyway, the Oathbreaker asks you guys to make, to discuss, that you guys can discuss, and to make your decision. Firstly, obviously, it is going to sever all your ties to Mr. Hesseldane, who had a bit of control over your marks.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, it gave you the choice to sever yourselves from the gods themselves, from your oath to the gods, from your pact with the gods. And there's a few deep moments, you know. There's some hot moments. And I think who do we start with? Was it Storm?
Storm? Yeah, I want to say Storm.
Was it Storm?
Mm-hmm.
He decides that he is, I believe, in his words, just a young tabaxi guy, and that he just wants to help the little people, you know.
Yeah, he got wrapped up. He got wrapped up in something he didn't want to.
Yeah, and this is his chance to finally break free of it and just do what he wants with his life.
Yeah.
To go home, help some people, you know, write a few ditties, sing in a few bars.
Yeah.
No more adventuring against the gods, no more fighting demons, just
He want a simple life.
Simple life. And so he decides to sever himself from the gods at that point. And then I believe we go to Snow, is that correct?
Yeah, Snow was in the same vein. It's just that he felt like he wanted to make a proper decision for himself instead of doing things that he had to do. And for once, he was doing something that he chose to do. You know, he wanted to determine just something in his life, whether it was to fight or die or live or whatever it was. He wanted to have some control over his own life because he never felt like he had any in the first place.
Okay.
So he makes the decision to sever the mark.
It's a fair point in his character arc, right?
Yeah.
It's if you were to go back and change the decision, would it still be the same?
Change the what?
If you wanted to change the decision, would you ever change it, or is it always going to be the concrete sever myself?
Yeah, I think it was always going to be that, because you think of Snow's backstory, he's grown up in a place where tradition and honor and all that never gave anyone room to choose what they want to do, you know. You do everything for the family, you do everything to prolong the line, you do everything to hold your position. But for those people who don't want to hold their position, there's no place for them. There's no support for them, right?
Yeah.
And if Snow his whole life got wrapped into all this stuff because that's the only thing he ever knew, so he never questioned it. That was just the way of life. But then, like, everything happened during the campaign. He tried to save the prince because I guess that was a decision he made to go against his father, to not betray the prince. But also that was his obligation to do so, to protect the prince from his initial oath to do so. And then he got killed for that, which I think was a point he made to Magnir, where Snow pointed at himself. You know, he's all busted up and bandaged, and he said that this is what happens when you try to retain any semblance of honor. This is what you get in return. So you should leave. You should save the bloodshed of your people. And then he dies, and you know, there's a 200-year gap, and he later learns that he was an instrument in causing a lot of conflict in Denethor, and he had no knowledge of it. So did he really choose to do that? You know, even if the Snow the conscious Snow back then, during the 200 years, made the decision, again, like, is it the same person? Would you say that that's the same person? And all this stuff came to a head, and obviously, Uchi is not the same person that he knew. And you think about it, the oaths that Snow swore was until death, and he did die. So in a way, he was freed from the oath, and he thought, okay, this might be the only moment that I can take to make one final decision. If I die, if my choice is death, then at least I chose that. It was my own decision. It was in my control to make that decision. So he chose to sever the mark.
Okay. Do you think that he would have continued to pursue Uchi after that point, or do you think he would have just continued with his own life and did his own things?
I don't.
Moved on.
I don't. Yeah, I don't I don't think I want to spoil it too much, but definitely he would leave the party and go his own way. And he even alludes to it that the sword asks him, what about Uchi? Oh, what does the sword ask?
The sword says that Uchi is much more entangled in the whole situation.
Yeah,
with
that's
Pennsylvania,
right.
And
That's right.
perhaps sticking with the oath would be a good thing for Snow.
Yeah, so Snow says that the Uchi that I once knew and loved is dead to me, basically. So in a way, he's trying to move on from that. Like, everything that he once knew was not as it was as he remembered it. So really, he doesn't feel connected to it anymore.
Okay. What do you mean by you don't want to spoil anything? I thought it's over. Isn't it over?
I mean, there's Ryan's little helpers. I want to keep the end moment.
Oh, the secret ending B, huh?
I don't know if there's a secret.
100% the game.
I don't want.
See the secret ending.
I don't know if there's a secret ending, but I want to save what Snow has to say. It's not going to be surprising or anything, but I just want to save that for like the very, very end of the Ryan's little helpers.
All right, you heard it. You heard it, guys.
When the characters actually part ways.
Okay. I mean, all right, everybody, get your speeches ready for when you guys actually part ways, because apparently Snow has something in mind as well. So
don't expect anything. Don't expect. I'm just saving
this.
I'm just saving.
Write your speeches. I expect 3 minutes.
I'm just saving. I'm just saving what I have to say.
Don't write your speech out put on the cards.
Some
write notes instead.
Twisty secret ending type thing is just.
If you want to see the Snow secret ending, you gotta 100%
I don't want to retread the ground.
You gotta collect all the marbles, collect all the eggs.
I want to chew my gum and spit it.
Have level 100 in all your skills if you want to see Snow's secret ending. So, be ready for that. Anyway, he decides that he's going to make his own decision this time and sever himself. I mean, technically, you could make a decision to keep yourself with the gods, and that's also making a decision, right?
Yeah, but I think the whole premise with the elected is that he didn't really have a choice to get into it, right?
Yeah.
And in making that choice to stay with it, he still hasn't made a choice because the choice was made for him.
That is the choice, right? He's like, okay, I'm making the conscious decision to follow the gods.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is he's in that position not of his own choice. And if he stays in that, then he's just, I think to him, he's just sort of prolonging that mindset that he's never actually in this because he chose to be. I mean, yeah, it is a decision, but this was like, okay, well, I want to.
For him, it wouldn't be. Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. Yeah.
Okay. We move on to, who was it? Was it Ravenna? It was Ravenna, right?
Yeah, Ravenna.
We went to Ravenna, and he questions like, what does severing the gods actually mean? Like, I'm pretty close with Vosny, Like, does this count, Vosny? But the Oathbreaker's like, nah, don't worry about it, fam. We got you. And Ravenna's like, well, I believe all gods have a plan, and that's all part of the journey. So I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, if you could just give me some guidance as well, like I would appreciate more guidance.
Guidance.
You know?
Give me some waypoints. Some waypoints for the compass on the map.
Some quest markers. You know.
Quest markers.
Some
Yeah.
journal entries.
I need some hints every now and then. Can I press a button for some hints? Like check under the cabinet.
I'm not really keen on this cold shoulder I'm getting from the gods. You know. I mean, from Bosnia.
And the Oathbreaker's like, yo, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you'll get your quest markers.
Yeah. You got a talking sword with you now, a walking plot device. We're good. And then we move on to who was it? Was it Maple next or Tokul?
I think it was Tokul.
So the shadow turns into Suyasa Mjoldrall, the sister of Tokul.
What's her name? Miyasa?
I think it's Suyasa.
Suyasa. That's a cool name.
Suyasa.
Too bad Tokul never ever said her name. Why'd I gotta learn after the fact? After the campaign's over? Hey, Tokul. Did she ever have a name? Tokul? Tokul, you there? Hey, listen.
He's on the toilet.
Sick of shit.
No. Yeah, we always had a name for Suyasa. Like the very first time we wrote the character together, we came up with the names for his family members. We had Suyasa, we had his dad Wuskan, I believe, Wuskan. I forgot what his mom was called. Although she's not important, so it doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, and so the silhouette turns into his sister, and I think he describes this moment really well, like very beautifully. I believe he describes Tokul coming to tears and being struck with some grief, some PTSD grief going on. And I forgot exactly what he says, but I know his end decision is to stick with the gods, right? Like he says that if this power, he asks like if I stay with the gods, will I be able to protect my people and my sister? And the Oathbreaker responds with some really shitty line about, is it easy to kill a man with a stick or a sword?
Which he doesn't answer. That? Yeah, which Tokul doesn't answer, if I remember.
I think he says the blade.
Stumped.
Right?
He's stumped, right? He's stumped for a little bit when you ask him that.
I mean, it's not really a question. It's more of a. It's not a literal question. It's more like a. Well, obviously it's a sword, right? So why wouldn't you take the power in front of you that can help you, to further your goals, to help you protect your people?
It's funny how
perhaps at a greater cost.
The sword forged specifically to break these divine ties is trying to convince the party members to stay.
Well, the sword itself is forged by the gods, by 3 of the gods. So it's not necessarily opposed to them as it is to giving these people a choice, right? That was the whole reason behind Solomon, Dimitri, and fucking Ildrim, that they saw that these people, the elected, really had no choice in what they wanted to do. So instead of forcing it, they decided to they went rogue, which is why they now roam the earth as not exactly immortals, but they're not in the upper planes like the rest of the gods, right? So yeah, it gives you guys a choice. So it's still kind of on the god side, but at least it's not forcing you guys to compete in a war that you don't want to. And Tokul was like, well, I'm pretty sure he says the sword, or at least maybe you're right and he doesn't answer, but he says that if this power can help me protect my people, then I will gladly take it, or something along those lines.
And he could fight for something bigger than himself. I think that line.
That was for Maple. Okay. I remember that specifically. Because we go to Maple next, and he's like, well, I forgot exactly what he says, but what he says, what's the benefits? Like why should we choose to fight with the gods? And the Oathbreaker simply states that if you can go back to your lives, you can go find your sister, and you can forget about all of this. But if you accept the oath, you will fight for something greater than yourself, right? You'll fight for something greater than your own ambitions. And I think, for at least what Lachlan describes, that was Maple. Maple was always going to make that choice where it's just better for him, right? Like, it's just something he wanted to do. Maple where he'd want to fight for something bigger than himself.
Mm.
And so that was a clear and easy choice for him. And then we move on finally to Kenji. And honestly, this one was rather hard to roleplay, right? Because we haven't even gotten to fleshing out Kenji's backstory or anything to any particular extent.
Yeah, sorry, AK.
And I still feel really bad for AK, and that we're shafting him this early into his debut, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully we make up for it with campaign 2.
Hey, listen, but it's not our responsibility. I mean, we didn't choose for him to join at this time, right? Oh, wait, maybe we did.
Yeah, we did.
But anyway, we didn't meet him until this year, so we didn't know about him, you know, until all of this was coming to a head, and it took a while for him to join. You know.
And why are you trying to avoid responsibility?
I'm just saying we shouldn't feel guilty about it. You know?
Oh, we should definitely feel guilty about it. Absolutely.
No.
We're kind of the ones who also brought up campaign 2.
He's also going to be a part of campaign 2 at the very start of it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that makes up for it. We'll have a brand new party. Everyone's new. Everyone gets a clean slate.
Here, let me shoot your dog and then buy you a new one.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's good, right? We're good, right? We're cool. We're cool. I got you a new puppy. He's cute. He's real cute.
Yeah.
Oh, we good? Oh. Yeah.
I mean, we had 2 years. We had 2.5 years, 3 years of this campaign, and we can see it.
AK had like 3 weeks.
We have the perspective of the whole campaign, and yeah, it's a little unfair that, you know, he just joined and then we're gonna start again. But it's not like we stopped playing like Lewis, right? I think if anything, what we did to Lewis was worse than what we've done to AK.
Yeah, but at least we came back to the campaign for Lewis, you know? Came back and he got to play for like 40 sessions.
Yeah, but then there was like a whole year where he didn't really get to play his character.
Yeah, but we came back. And he
didn't really get to play at all.
What do you mean? He got to play 40-50 sessions.
Yeah, I know, but after, like, there was a whole part where he didn't get to play. He played 2 sessions, right? At least AK got, like, 4, 5, 6 sessions.
Yeah, but then we also cocked Lewis with the Urzo Coroner campaign, right?
Yeah, we also cocked him with that.
Yeah.
I cocked everyone with that. But in truth, I wasn't ready to run a campaign. I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Well, that's a story for another time.
Apologies.
We should talk about that then sometime. All the other stuff we've done.
I mean, that's really the thick and the thin of it with the Urza Carino campaign.
Yeah, I want to talk about the characters. I want to talk about Lodo and Fiddlefen. I want to talk about Sheep. I fucking love Sheep so much, dude. I think he's one of my favorite characters next to Boulder.
Really?
Yeah. He's as stupid. He's just as stupid as Boulder.
I don't feel anything, you know, for AK.
But you feel a lot for Lewis, huh?
Yeah, but I think what we did to Lewis was worse than what we're doing to AK, you know? And AK is probably not that invested, right? Right?
Hey, this is an OG character. This is a character he carried through from a different campaign. And we're killing it. We're forcing him to play something new.
Yeah, but we're not responsible for him reusing a character. Hey, I wanted to reuse a character.
Yeah, we're not letting him do that either, exactly.
Yeah. So
but I don't feel bad.
If I can't have my cake, then neither can him.
Okay. Anyway, Kenji decides that he poses the question of whether following this oath will lead down the path of good or evil, right? Because he walks down a very neutral path of something along those lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Oathbreaker isn't just straight up like, nah, man, we good. We good guys. We're the good guys. He says something along the lines of, your actions dictate what path you walk.
Mm-hmm.
All I do is provide you the tools necessary to walk these paths. Something along those lines. That's probably way cooler than what he actually said, but you know. And Kenji's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we come to a close where the Oathbreaker splits into fragments, and the fragments take hold of your hand and pulls up your sleeve and puts the other hand over it and starts to sizzle and burn, and tattoo removal gun your brains away. You feel the first sizzle, where Hesseldane's attachment, his control, his puppet strings over you guys starts to wear thin and break away, and then it looks up at each of you. It looks up to the two of you who decided to sever themselves from the gods and ask for the final time, "Are you sure?" Right? And I get two nods from both you and Lewis. And so it those two fragments they stay while the others disappear, and they concentrate their power, and then the burning sensation fills your nerves, and it hurts real fucking bad. And eventually the pain wears thin, and you look at your arms, and it's that clean, bare skin. Maybe not your skin, but for Tabaxi.
Yeah.
It's nice. For you, it's like jerky or whatever
Beef
it is,
jerky,
like beef
yeah.
jerky. Anyway, sorry, I was just imagining Snow, where the rest of his skin is beef jerky, but it's got like this is one clean patch that's just like normal skin,
normal pristine skin.
But yeah, you guys decide to sever yourselves, and there's this moment where I'm just like, okay, what do you guys do now? But instead, I was like, wait a second, that's the end. That's the end right then and there. You guys have made your choices, and that's the end. We have it open ended. It's a nice ending, and we can cut it off clean. And then you're like, hey, I still want to talk more. Hey, you wanted some more talking action.
Yeah, I wanted a debrief. You know, I wanted the.
Look, if we're gonna do Ryan's Little Helpers and have a debrief there, why would we do a debrief here?
No, I mean, I wanted the characters to like talk after the fact, you know, because obviously this is the end of Axia, so obviously there's going to be some big changes for the characters, and obviously they're going to talk about it, right?
Could have done it at the end of Ryan's Little Helpers, or the start of Ryan's Little Helpers.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know he was going to come straight away. Honestly, I forgot about Ryan's Little Helpers, but I just wanted to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit.
That's a fair point. I forgot about it too until Aiden messaged me, like during that. Anyway, you decide, hey, can we have a chat? And then we do a fast forward, where you guys are finally coming out of the caves, what's it called, the archaeological dig site. And the sunlight hits you, and the wind's like battering against you. The hot desert sand is whistling its way past your clothes, your baggy clothes. The sun's beating down.
I feel like there's like not a cloud in the sky, and the sun's just straight up. It's noon, and you know we just see horizon for all around 360 degrees.
Your eyes haven't adjusted yet to the brightness.
You just see the shimmer of the horizon as
the heat waves.
Yeah, and then we see the dragon come up, and then most of us thought, oh, it's Varvoth, it's Civicus and Varvoth. They just come to vaporize us because
that'd be so fucked up if I did something like that. That'd be so fucked up.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh my god, wait,
he's getting vengeance.
But no, it turns out to be Ryan on a silver dragon.
Ryan on a young silver dragon. He comes down and offers and tells you guys one last ride, you know, for old time's sake. I mean, there was a little bit of conversation between you guys before that, though, right?
Yeah, we everyone asked each other, okay, well, what are you guys gonna do now?
I think so. The guys that stayed decided they're gonna go to Altidrar first, and Ravenna is gonna get a replacement for the burnt down chapel of Vosny.
Yep.
In Huria, and Maple's going to look for his sister. And they ask the Oathbreaker, and the Oathbreaker's like, "Yep, that's a-okay. That's on the list. That's on the to-do list. We're on good time. We can do that."
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan, no, you guys pull out the fucking the prime tokens.
Storm's like, "Oh, hey, what are we gonna do with these two things?" And Snow's like, "Yeah, just give them here." He ties them on an arrow and lets that arrow fly into the desert.
And Tokul decides to one-up you and use the Cloak of Magic Stars and boost that power. This is the equivalent of like throwing like the money in the ocean at the end of like a heist movie or something like that. Where it's not about the money.
Or it's like the jewel, right? It's like if there's a heist about like this jewel, blood diamond, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like these two opposing thieves are like, "Hey, we've been fighting for so long, but we're friends
What
now.
do we do with it now?
What do we do with it?" It just throws it into the water or whatever it is.
Yeah. It was a nice choice. And I believe Storm says he's just gonna go home, and he says he needs to deal with his brother or whatnot, or something like that. And he'll sing about you guys, and you guys will always have a fan, which is cute. What do you remember what Snow says?
He doesn't actually.
He doesn't say anything, does he?
He doesn't really say anything until the end. But Ryan comes, is like, you guys up for one last mission? And I think Snow says, yeah, but after we're done, let me go home. I'm gonna go home.
I need a rest. I need a nap, dude. Which is fine. Which is kind of understandable for everything he's gone through. And that's where Axia wraps up after 69 sessions after 3 years.
69 sessions for Axia.
What a ride. What a ride. What a roller coaster. Alright, so a bit of a debrief into well, the whole of the campaign, right? Now that we've finished, we can finally talk about what we thought about it, what could have been better, what could have been worse, stuff like that. You know, what we would have liked to see.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you have any big things you want to talk about in regards to it?
Any big things?
Any parts where you thought, well, this could have gone way better, or like, I wish Albert would have done this, or something along those lines, so I can take that into account for the next one.
I think there were a lot of plot threads that went unresolved, and unresolved for a long time. Like, they were introduced early on, and they never really had an effect in the end. And I get that you were going for, like, this would come up later on, but I felt like there were so many of those plot threads that you've had boiling in the background that sometimes
just
it just
never came to fruition.
It felt like they didn't matter at all. Like,
that's a fair point.
The ones that came to mind is definitely the elected things, like getting contacted by the gods and all that we tried to do. It never really felt like we knew what our true purpose was to be elected. Obviously, there was like the demon war, this huge war that was to come, stuff like that. But it never really felt relevant or important to the character's story. Or you made it... But that might be because we made the choice to sever the O's. So maybe that affected what you...
It goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's on me and it's on you guys as well. I'd say it's more on my side, right?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you that there was a lot of little things that we talked about, a lot of little plot threads that never ended up unraveling, because it's a bad habit of mine, because I really like foreshadowing stuff, right? I really like having these little things that end up becoming important later on, like Soule and Demi and stuff, like just dumb stuff like that, right? So yeah, that's definitely on me for having a lot of that stuff that never really resolves. As for the oath stuff, the elected stuff, it's for me, I feel like I made the mistake of thinking I was writing a literal narrative, like a literal plot line, right? Where the characters find out over the course of their journey their purpose through little events, through like the Korakin, right? Where there was hints about these guys being the elected, or through other ruins where it talked about the planar cycle, the planar shift, and the planar alignment, stuff like that, right? The planar war. But I think in the essence of Dungeons and Dragons, writing a good story for a book doesn't necessarily translate to writing a good story for a D&D campaign, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously players are never going to do what the author, what the writer of the campaign thinks they're going to do most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's not something you can really plan for. And I think at those times I was very stuck in my ways. I was very maybe rigid is the right word, maybe stubborn is the better word, about things going the way the plot demands, or whatever stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it didn't pan out the way any of us wanted it to. I definitely think in future we're never going to implement a what's the word? A plot tool. What's the word?
Plot device.
A plot device. A plot device. Obviously, a plot device like that ever again in the future. One that inextricably ties you to the story, right? Because that, like you said, and like we've said many times before, it takes away the freedom of choice, right?
Hmm.
And that I think that's a very big deal, especially in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Yeah, but I think it was a good attempt in doing so, and in a way, it worked. It worked.
In a way, it's kind of like jerry rigging something, right?
Yeah.
It's like I can put on all this flex tape to patch the holes in the pipes, but it's never going to be as good as just replacing the pipes or just finding a different method of piping this water.
Yeah.
So it was just patchwork solutions to a underlying problem, right?
Yeah, I do think there is some merit to having a party goal, like working towards a singular goal, like a focus. But maybe we need to work on the execution of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that for campaign 2, it would be better if I threw a bunch of plot hooks at you guys and saw which ones you guys stuck onto the most and honed in on that?
You mean during the campaign, or like just out of campaign, saying like,
oh,
hey,
during the campaign.
Okay.
During the campaign. Like
yeah.
like we talk about, I don't know, like say there's X and Y factions skirmishing in the forest and you hear the battle or whatever, and you guys take interest in the battle, and then we can delve deeper into why these factions are fighting each other and stuff like that. Or there's a string of mystery murderers happening in the X town, and these people are going missing. Or like secret rituals have been going on. There's evidence of these rituals or stuff like that, right? Do you think that's more conducive to a more immersive and free, I guess, story?
Well, I really don't know the right way to go about it. So, I mean, that's definitely an idea you could go about trying that out. And I think that was more in line with what Lachlan was saying when we had our discussion last week instead of a session about the central narrative, not being too restrictive.
Yeah, it has to be something that you guys something you guys choose to pursue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very good point, and I agree with him on that. Yeah, okay, that's a bit of a plot talk out of the way. Any other big issues?
Yeah, but I like in saying that the central plot, just because there is a central focus or overarching plot, that doesn't mean that it suddenly becomes a railroad. There's still a lot of decisions to be made in that story. So, and I think what Lachlan was saying before was like that Oathbreaker stuff. I think maybe he was commenting on the actual execution of the brands, and the Oathbreaker stuff felt like he didn't really have a choice, which, yeah, I kind of agree with him. But I think a central narrative does help. But yeah, we can try more episodic type campaign.
Maybe not episodic. It's just throwing stuff out there, like just like feelers, right? To see what you guys would and would not like to pursue. So it would still be in the similar vein of the Oathbreaker and finding the Oathbreaker.
Oh,
and
okay.
The Oaths and
So you're like throwing out some bigger.
But instead of being forced with the marks of the brands to follow the specific one, it would just be you get to choose, right? You get to choose.
Yeah. And then I guess these things are easier to think and talk about when we haven't even started.
That is true.
Because we didn't even start thinking about this stuff until about 15 sessions in Axia 1, because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah, and what a 15 sessions those were, though.
Yeah, well, about the Oathbreaker, like, in your head, say that we made the decision to stick with the Oaths. How do you think that would have played out?
I think that eventually, in a very short time, you would have found clues or talked to many people who would lead you in the direction of your visions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these visions would have been tied rather close to your character arcs and the resolution of your character arcs.
Mm-hmm.
For one example, Tokul's was he needed to find this still living dragon heart, the still beating dragon heart that has been holed up in this ancient vault, buried deep, which you guys wouldn't have found out, but it was buried deep within the very same vault of King God Emperor Christoph, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the still beating heart of his dragon companion who ascended to the upper planes, and that would have been a good point for Toggle to resolve his firstly the issues between the Ubanians and the Ivory Valians. I don't know, the residents of the Ivory Vale.
Yep.
And for him to confront his issues with royalty and ascending to the throne and what being a king really means, stuff like that, right?
So you plan for there to be a conflict between the Ivory Vale and Ubania. Interesting.
Yeah, there was always going to be conflict there, and there was always going to be an arc where you guys go to Ubania, right? We always talked about that. Maybe it might happen, maybe it might not happen. It was always going to happen.
We were going to Ubania. We was on the way there, and then something happened at Trinet, and we're like, going to the brands, of course. The brands, and we're like, fuck the brands. Where do we find the sword? Oh, it's in the desert. Oh, we got hyped for the desert. We went to the desert instead.
Yep. It's whatever we get hyped for, we go to.
Yeah.
And that's similar to the plot hook thing, right? Like, wherever you guys are interested in going, that's where we'll go. But I guess in that scenario, it was because that you were already you're already constricted to the elected plot that you couldn't really choose anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys would have found these things. They would have powered you up, and there would have been multiple confrontations along the way with Hesseldane.
So he was the big bad. He was the big bad.
I think he would have been a precursor to the big bad, right? Like
Okay.
he eventually you defeat him, and then you realize he's unleashed something much greater into the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's where it would have gone. At least that was the OG plan, right?
And that would have resolved the entire campaign, because eventually we'd all
That would be the end. Yeah.
we'd all meet our gods, and then we'd resolve our backstories at the same time, and every character would have their own little spotlight, and we'd have a world tour.
Yeah.
And then there would be the final big clash between angels and demons, and that's it, right?
Yeah, and that'll be the end of the campaign, and it probably wouldn't even ended at level 20. Probably would have ended earlier than that. But yeah, that was the headcanon brain idea that never panned out the way you wanted to, because D&D is D&D, right?
Yeah. So when you obviously that was the OG plan. You probably didn't think of the party choosing not to go ahead with that. Was the Oathbreaker always a part of the plan, or was just
Oathbreaker existed until you guys? It never existed until you guys were like, "Hey, we want to get rid of these oaths." And I was like, there's a sword that's broken in pieces in the desert. Yep, that's a thing.
Yeah, I remember there was almost a scavenger hunt aspect to it, where we would find the pieces of the sword, but really it was just the hilt and then the rest of the blade in Dawnhelm.
It went for too damn long. That was the problem. It went for so fucking long that if we actually went on the scavenger hunt, it would have extended it by way longer.
Yeah, but I don't think there was a scavenger hunt in the first place. I just feel like when we stepped foot in Huria, we just got embroiled in so much
Everything
stuff.
else happened. Yeah. And that's one of the main problems, right? Where just shit just kind of kept happening, and it took away from the main story, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we got lured into the allure of a new city, a new place.
Huria was too good.
And it was just sort of like a theme park. You just want to try and see everything you can, but it ran its course. 30 sessions later, you sort of get a little bit sick of it.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely lost our bearing in Huria, right? Do you think that's where it all went wrong?
I feel like there was one point where like the heist was being planned for so long, and then, you know, I was just thinking in the back of my head, like, we still have to like do the Oathbreaker
It's like,
stuff,
what are we doing right
but,
now?
But we actually have to do this heist, that's going to be a whole fucking thing. And at some points, I was kind of dreading the heist because, like, what happened? What if the heist goes wrong and we just absolutely get railed by Varvoth? And then the relief I felt when Sivkas was like, "Hey, Varvoth's my bitch," and I was like, "Oh, we can move on with the plot now. That's great. That's great." Yeah, I think
it was a mess.
But we also kind of did that to ourselves because, you know, Snow came up with this whole political destabilization plot, and then suddenly we had to learn everything about all the 13 or 12 primes, or how many primes there were, and they all had their own little thing, and, you know, that kind of opened up, like, potentially we had to do like side quests for these primes, and then there was this whole arena thing and Body Knock, and, you know,
that's his name, Body Knock,
doing stuff for Kragan, and then we're going out to the pirates, and then a storm throws a wrench in the pirates deal, and oh yeah, it got really complicated. We didn't see what a mess we made until looking back at it now. Yeah, looking back at it now, what a swamp it was.
Yeah, in retrospect, maybe not such a good, like, it was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was fun, right? Like, there was some really great moments in Huria. Yeah. But it wasn't conducive, or at least it wasn't conducive to a good narrative at the end of the day. And that, I think that's on me. I think that one's on me, because I feel like as DM, you should be able to, like, I believe maybe Aiden or Lachlan mentioned this, or maybe you mentioned this, where these forgettable side plots, they should lead back into the main thing.
I think
right? They should lead back into the main plot line, right?
You also said that before, I believe last podcast you might have said that as well.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in doing so, that at least feels like your progression. There's some sort of progression, right? And that was the problem. It didn't feel like we were going anywhere.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, there were certain points where it felt particularly slow, like we were just going into side plot dead ends, or we were chasing these side plots like we're always chasing them to their conclusion until they stopped going anywhere. I mean, some side plots didn't lead anywhere, but they were fun, like the whole bread empire thing. That was pretty fun. Or when we first got introduced to Thunder and everyone was playing like different members of the crowds and stuff like that, that was okay. But yeah, there was a lot of times where stuff just like was going nowhere, and we were just getting lost in the soup of the city, which I think, yeah, realistically, that checks out. That would probably happen in real life. But
that's true.
Realism does not always equal fun.
Do you think that if the Oathbreaker elected plot didn't exist, that Huria would have been fine?
Possibly, but then we probably wouldn't have gone to Huria in the first place. But like saying that let's say that the party was already going to Huria for whatever reason, just to have fun and explore. Maybe if we didn't have this pressing goal that we had to achieve, this pressure to move on with the main plot, yeah, possibly it would have been better. But I really don't know. Maybe we would have had the same issue because like we'd have no direction. We'd have no direction, right? And we're just chasing all these side plots, looking for something to latch onto. So maybe that would have been a problem. Maybe that would have been a problem as well. Which is what I am afraid of when people say they want to deviate from like a central plot line. Because I think like a central plot line is good to just move the party from place to place, right? To keep them going towards something, working towards something.
Yeah, like there's some sort of overall goal you're all going to achieve at some point.
Because the worst thing in a D&D campaign is for it to just fizzle out because the party doesn't know what to do. There's no direction. There's just all these little loose threads that we're not sure what they're significant for, you know?
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And it's just that delicate balance of plot versus fun and immersion versus fun and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we need to figure out. And that's something we're hopefully going to figure out. And we're going to talk about during session 0 of this Friday.
Yeah. And like, okay. I know people are scared of being, you know, restricted. I know particularly Lachlan during that discussion we had, like all the ideas, he was just like, yeah, I just don't want to be tied down to a particular, like I don't want my character to be tied down to a particular or be restricted by a particular idea or a particular thing that we're going for, because I think one of the ideas was, like one of the ideas what I think most of us were vibing with was the shop idea, like we were like a traveling shop.
Yeah, that one's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I think he was concerned that the shop would be restrictive in a way, which I think you could make it that it's less so, like it's not a huge emphasis in the campaign. Like I was trying to say, maybe like we're a mercenary band that has a shop on the side and we just have a moving base or something like that. And we're like a seasonal shop, you know, seasonal pop shop where you just open up every so often. We don't have to be open all the time, you know. Yeah, lots of ways to spin things, to think about things, you know. You just have to think about them a little bit more deeply. Because... Do you think...
Sorry, go.
I was just going to add, judging ideas at a surface level is easy. And it's easy to jump to conclusions. They're...
Yeah, it's always deeper than that, right?
Yeah, and there's always things you could tweak. And, of course, there's always other ideas that you could explore.
Yeah. And we haven't decided on anything yet, so it's all up in the air.
Yeah.
Do you think that having a concrete goal from episode 1, from session 1, would have a greater effect on the narrative? Say, for example, you're tasked with collecting 4 legendary MacGuffins from scattered around the continent. Some of them are in the hands of powerful emperors. The other ones are deep in a ruined kingdom temple thing, and you need to go get them, kind of deal. Do you think having a concrete goal from episode 1 would make it worse or better? Obviously it would be of your own volition, but like let's say we agreed on something like that.
I think that is a good way to give the party some direction on what to do. Obviously the first beginning of the campaign is always some of the most difficult for like deciding what to do, because the players are still getting used to the party dynamic. Even if we make the party know each other and all that, you know, we're still waiting for the concrete to dry on all the party dynamics and stuff like that. And I guess that's what the mini series is for, is to straighten out the kinks. But I think since we haven't tried that before, and not having that for Axia was really tough, I think it might be good. It might be beneficial to have something like that at the very beginning.
Okay. So, for example, for the miniseries, right? I'll write a pre what's it called? Like a briefing, right? Where your ex mercenary force, your ex merchant gang or whatever, and you're here to strike a deal with X character, but something shady is going down. You also have a secret mission to scope out his dark underground dealings. You know.
Yeah, we're like a mercenary gang trying to make a name for ourselves, make some cash. And we found this lead to make some big buckaroos, make it into the big leagues.
$dollars.
Yeah, okay. I'm interested to see, because I'd prefer not to be just some random Huckleberry Finn adventurers just going from place to place looking for work. I'd like something more concrete to recognize our party by. So like we're a company of warriors, you know. We offer our services to the highest bidder type thing. That'd be cool. And we could actually have a proper like name, you know.
That's true. You guys, before we start, you guys should come up with a name, right? So we don't have to fucking spend a whole session coming up with a name.
I definitely think it should be X Company or something like that, or the something company.
United War and Commerce.
United War and Commerce. UWC, something rather.
Alright, well, I mean, that's for another day, right? In regards to the debriefing of the first campaign, any other glaring areas, any other tragedies that should have been corrected, or you would like to see amended in future things?
I'd just like the world building to be more interesting. We spent a long time in Denethor, which was just like, I keep saying this over, it's just this grey mush in my head. It's not really anything concrete.
Man, you really hated Denethor. God damn.
I don't hate Denethor, but it was just never really a compelling setting at all. And I think Courier was a good step in the right direction, flying airships and huge turtles with cities on the backs of them, and there's the desert theme. Like, it had a strong identity that you could link it to.
Right.
And I feel like Denethor could have had a stronger identity, that it just never was really fleshed out. Like,
I mean, to be fair, we only explored like the backwaters of it, right?
Yeah.
So you never really got a chance to bloom into something bigger.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. There was definitely possibilities for it to become its own. And I remember writing some stuff about it, and some stuff that you wrote as well about like it being very feudal and like there could have been a lot of like internal politics, Game of Thronesy type vibe going around, like very Crusader Kings, right?
Very barons fighting for positions under the king or whatever.
Lots of scheming and all this stuff, and it definitely had the possibility to come into its own, but as it stood, it was no Ubania, which definitely had like a very strong identity to it. Like, you definitely, like, when you describe someone from Ubania, right, without saying that they're Ubanian, you definitely think, oh he's a racist, or he's like
that guy's racist.
He's from slaves, or he's eats salt beef, and he praises this god emperor. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of know where that guy's from.
Yeah, there's a visual identity that goes with them. I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So more of that.
I'd like something unique that we haven't seen before. Hopefully you've said you've got some ideas that you're ripping from other places. I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with plagiarism. I steal stuff all the time.
Plagiarism is always okay until you guys know where the source book is from. Then it's like, oh oops, I've been caught in the act, But as long as you guys haven't read the same books I have or consumed the same media I have, we'll be okay.
Yeah, but even then, like, even if I did know, I'll probably, this time around, I'll probably just try and keep my mouth shut, because, I don't want to affect your mindset, right? And if I'm enjoying it, then what's the problem? There's no problem.
Yeah, it's like, I stole the library in Huria from God's Gods by Terry Pratchett.
Mm-hmm.
There's a magical library there that has every book that's been written.
Yeah, why didn't you steal your orangutan too?
I did. It's not an orangutan. It's a kenku.
Ah, I see.
But he didn't talk.
It doesn't really sound as novel as an orangutan, though.
And the twist is that it's not just every book that has been; it's every book that will be, right?
Yeah.
Or that could be, I guess, and it's like ever changing and whatnot. So, like, as long as I steal and then add my own flavor to it, we'll be okay. Yeah. We'll be a-okay. Yeah. So, I'm gonna be consuming more media, and I'll be trying to figure out what we would enjoy.
I'm very excited to explore like this new world and like see what's new.
I think that going to world building and stuff. I think that because the way I approached Axia, right, was that if you recall, I drew a really shitty drawing in paint, right?
Yeah.
And there was literal gloops of goo on a piece of white paper, right? They were ugly, and then I picked one there wasn't even a choice. I'm pretty sure I just closed my eyes and I picked one. Well, I was like, oh, that one looks nice. I picked that one, and then I drew a more concrete outline, and then I zoomed in again, and then I drew even more in more detail, and I zoomed in again. I separated the territories, and then I zoomed in again, and then I drew the major details of like, oh, this is a forest, this is a mountain, this is a mountain ridge, this is a lake, whatnot, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. You like the hard cartography, world building stuff.
That's what I did with Axian, right?
Yeah.
I think I think I'm going to approach it differently this time.
Yeah.
For campaign 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna do the opposite, where you start from, like, say, like a small town, and you build from there. Like, what's this town a part of?
You're doing bottom up approach.
Bottom up instead of top down.
Top down, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more conducive to a lower level campaign, where content is usually restricted to these smaller areas, and it'll probably help with immersion if I know more of the smaller details, like these villages are from this race. They like doing this. There's a tradition of where they eat fish alive, or some stupid shit like that, you know?
Yeah, like broad strokes of like just the world, and then you can fill in the details as you go.
Yeah. So I don't think you should expect to come into the campaign with a fully built world.
No, I don't expect that.
At least with because Axia wasn't fully built either. But obviously there was major factions, and you already had a picture of the continent and what kind of things inhabited it. I don't think that's where I'm gonna go with this one. I think it'll be firstly restricted to a smaller area, and obviously you'll hear tidbits about the rest of the world, but they'll never be a concrete. Here's a map of what it looks like, or stuff like that. I don't think I'm gonna go in that direction. What do you think about that?
Well, that'll be an interesting approach. We'll see how well it goes. But yeah, I think that there is a risk that if you don't really have a vision for a place, it could very easily just turn into another like generic type thing, right? If you just let, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. That if you don't have a general vision, then it might just turn out to be that grey gooey mush.
I'm not saying that you like build out all this stuff, you know, be super intricate with all the details. But like if you had a vision for like, let's say just pretend like we're starting the campaign in Ubania, right? And we're just pretending it's the new continent, right?
Okay.
We could like the vision, the general idea is like you have these Slavic Russian dudes who are very industrious, and they serve a god emperor. That's like the broad idea, right? And then you just fill in the details from there.
Yeah, like they go to church every day. They meet in the courtyard to praise him for 30 minutes, and they sing praises of his name, stuff like that.
Yeah, you need a direction for like.
Yeah. So you're right in that there should be a general idea, general direction, general vision. But I don't think I'm going to start as huge as I did.
Yeah. That I understand.
What else did I want to talk about for campaign 2? Oh, campaign 1. What do I have any regrets?
Yeah.
Do I have any regrets?
What was your biggest complaint about your own campaign?
I mean, it was perfect, you know. I have no regrets. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You're all wrong for wanting to start a new one.
That's why we're ending the campaign and we're starting a new one.
I don't know really. Like I have to think about this a lot more.
Anything you were disappointed by?
Disappointed by?
Yeah.
Disappointed by? No, disappointment's not a word I would ever really use with you guys. No, not really. Like, obviously there were places that we never got to explore. There were places I was really keen on going to.
Yep. And
I'm sad that we'll never be able to go there, or at least with these characters. Mm-hmm. Maybe in one shot or something, we'll all be Dragonborn living in Ivory Vale, or we'll all be Ubanian. We've done that.
Yeah,
or we'll all be
and I think we're doing
like
that
desert
again.
people or something. I don't know. I think that's my major one. It's just very unfulfilled for me.
Yeah, the potential is never going to be there.
Yeah. But that's just something you have to live with as any sort of writer or someone who pursues creative.
Yeah. But I think like this whole podcast with us was us, you know, talking about the campaign, what's good, what's bad, and I think we've sort of run out of things to say about it.
Yeah, it's perfect now. We fixed it all. We did it.
I mean, if only.
We can stop the podcast now, right? Right? If there's no more problems, we can stop the podcast. Does that mean right?
Yeah, are we rebranding? Do we have to rebrand for campaign 2?
Further kingdoms.
Closer kingdoms.
Closer kingdoms. Yeah, I think that's all I really want to say about campaign 1. Is that all for this one?
Yeah, I think we also talked about campaign 2 at the same time.
We did talk about campaign 2 at the same time, so we're good on that.
Yeah, unless you had anything more to say.
Not at the moment, but maybe next time.
Next time. Wait,
Oh.
we didn't talk about Ryan's little helpers.
All right, go ahead.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's put in the spot. Yeah, what do you want to say?
Well, what do you
kill
think?
Some Ubanian scum?
What do you think about Ryan's little helpers using the Axia? Is this the last hurrah for the Axia characters?
I believe Aiden will do us good. I like Aiden's DM style, and whatever he does with our characters, as long as they don't die like terrible, miserable deaths. If they do, then we're gonna call it non-canon.
He has big shoes to fill.
Does
like
he?
For the characters, right? These are like very established characters, and like
I'm sad he won't be able to play his characters.
And these are like, this is the epilogue for these characters, right?
I mean, I don't think it's gonna
the very last we ever see these characters. The end. Their story. We played them for 3.5 years. Finished. Forever.
Yeah, dead, done, retired. I don't think he has big shoes to fill, and I'm pretty sure he won't disappoint us. And I think we're gonna have a great time. Even if I don't think it's gonna be like a conclusive ending to people's character arcs or anything like that, right? It's just gonna be one last ride, one last adventure for the boys, and that's gonna be fun. And I'm gonna be one of the. I get to interact with you guys. I get to interact with Snow and all that shit as a character.
Oh, hey, don't fanboy. Don't become a fanboy.
I'm gonna talk shit. I'm gonna be like, I heard about you guys. You guys are garbage.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. What if you just kill your characters? What if you kill?
What?
I mean, the Axian characters are technically one-shot characters now. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, hold up.
We can do whatever we want.
Oh, I had something I wanted to ask. Obviously, first of all, wow, my mouth just stopped moving.
Continue.
Obviously, we can't really talk much about the Ryan's Little Helpers because we have no idea what the fuck is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So there's not much else we can talk about. But in regards to epilogues and stuff, someone mentioned a while back about writing like an after story, right? Like this is what they're doing now, like this is where they end up type deal. Is that something that do you think is in the cards for you at least? Would you want
like,
that to happen to Snow? Or
would I write
like that?
An after story for Snow?
Yeah. Or would you want me to write an after story for Snow?
I definitely would have to get your input on stuff because, like, Snow wouldn't know, or I wouldn't know what the current state of the Crescent Isles is, because definitely I think he would want to return there.
You think it would have to be like good ending stuff? Or do you think it would be like sad ending? Like bad ending 3 from Fallout?
I don't know. I think either way is fine. I was also satisfied with him just like sailing off into the distance, you know? His fate unknown.
Oh, and then he becomes a guest character in campaign 2? Huh?
Oh yeah, I can reuse him.
Yeah.
I can reuse him.
Yeah. A bandaged warrior shows up to save the day at some point.
Maybe. He goes off on his own way. He decides to explore. He decides to go east or west or wherever the new continent is.
And he decides to open a merchant company. Run by a band of ragtag adventurers.
That'd be cool. I've always loved the idea of 90-year-old Storm in the Pirates campaign. And like, I liked that That's why I wanted my character kind of to suck up to him a little bit and see him as like this grandfather figure.
Yeah, this cool heroic
Cool,
figure.
Yeah.
Has been through a lot.
And I guess now you could say that Pirates is kind of
It's canon because he didn't die.
He doesn't die.
He didn't die.
He doesn't
He
die.
made it.
And
I mean,
and,
unless
like,
he dies in Randall Helpers.
Yeah, don't kill Storm. Aiden, don't kill Storm. He needs to survive for.
He survived for pirates so he can backstab us.
He doesn't backstab us, does he?
He runs away with the money.
Okay, yeah. You know what was bullshit, and I've said this before. that vault where we had all the money, like we like fill in our pockets, and Lewis just says, "Yeah, you get 100 gold." That's it. 100 gold.
That's our cut. Hey,
We're
Captain.
like.
Captain
I'm looking obese with a money baby, and I just get 100 gold. All of that is 100 gold.
100 gold.
The
100
fuck?
gold. It means nothing. Yet, chump change.
And yeah, he just sails off saying like, "Hey, see you boys. I'm
Good
out of here."
luck.
And we're like, "What the fuck? What do we do now?"
All right, Demakos, you're the captain now. Good luck.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So is that in the cards for you? Do you think?
An after story.
An after story, like I don't know, like a paragraph or something.
I'm
Or two.
open to it. I'm open to it.
You
Yeah.
know, like in
if
Fallout.
I like write it and I just like it's like, yeah, this is I'm not
Garbo.
feeling this is not that good, or I'm not feeling, or this doesn't feel right, then I might just opt out.
Yeah. And this is definitely directed to the other players or whoever's listening. What do you guys think about that? Would you guys like to write your own after stories?
Yeah.
And we could work on it together. Would you like me to write something for you?
Yeah. Who said that idea? Whose idea was that? So
I
we
think
can
it was
blame them.
Lachlan?
Oh yeah,
Lachlan?
okay. Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, we can blame Lachlan.
Yep. All the blame's on him. Let's go.
Yeah.
Alright. I think I'm happy with this episode of Far Kingdoms. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, guess that's it for Axia.
That's it.
That's
Axia's
it.
dead.
That's
We're
it
done.
for Far
He died.
Kingdoms.
Far Kingdoms last episode.
Yeah, we'll come back under a different name, I guess. Different
Ooh.
name.
Yeah. Further Kingdoms.
Further Kingdoms. Furthest Kingdoms.
Ooh, that one's not bad. Honestly, that one's not bad.
Mm.
The Furthest Kingdoms.
Mm.
Oh, hold on. Oh, we'll think about it. Oh, the Farthest Kingdom.
And then we'll change we'll use the black one, the black and white.
Oh,
image
the
instead
dark version.
Yeah, the inverted one. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Or we have a
new
new
exciting things.
or a new
Oh,
remix,
rebranding?
rebrand.
Rebrand?
I don't know.
Instead of the stock image of the castle we found somewhere.
It's a good
recently.
image though. It's a good image. Though.
It's a good
I like
image.
it. I like it a
It's a
lot.
good image. But it could be better.
Yeah. You think you can make a better one?
I can't make a better one. But you know,
Yeah.
something to
Well,
look forward
if we get cold feet, we'll stay.
Yeah,
We'll stay.
I'll delete this. Don't worry. I'll come back and I'll delete this segment, and it's fine.
All right
Alright.
then. Episode 32, Far Kingdoms. We'll see y'all on the other side.
Bye.